Imagine opening a chrysalis at exactly the right moment during its transformation. You might expect to find something recognizable inside. Wings forming, a shape taking hold. What you'd actually find is liquid, a thick biological soup with almost nothing solid left. That is what a caterpillar does to itself. Not slowly, not gently. The creature that spent weeks eating its way through leaves releases enzymes that break down its own tissues, muscles, organs, most of what it is from the inside out. Within days, much of what was a caterpillar ceases to exist as solid structure. Scientists sometimes call the result butterfly soup. And if you've heard that phrase and assumed it was poetic exaggeration, it really isn't. Not entirely. But here's where it gets stranger. And far more impressive, it isn't a total meltdown. Some structures survive. And hidden inside the caterpillar all along are tiny clusters of cells called imaginal discs, essentially building blueprints, packed and waiting. There's a pair for the antennae, a pair for the eyes, one for each leg, one for each wing. While the rest of the caterpillar dissolves into an organized biological broth, these discs hold their shape and begin to grow. Muscles don't simply vanish either. They break apart into reusable clusters of cells, like a Lego sculpture decomposing into individual bricks, ready to be built into something else entirely. The caterpillar's own immune system fights this the whole time, attacking the very cells carrying the butterfly blueprint as if they were invaders. Those cells have to win that battle from the inside. And they do, every time. What comes out the other side, in roughly 10 to 15 days, depending on the species, shares nothing visible with what went in. Different body, different diet, a completely different way of moving through the world. But here is the part that genuinely shook scientists when they first confirmed it. The butterfly remembers. Researchers found that caterpillars trained to avoid certain smells retain that aversion after completing metamorphosis. As butterflies, they still avoided the same smells, memories that crossed the wall between two entirely different bodies and nervous systems. Virtually every connection between neurons breaks down and is rebuilt during this process. And yet something holds. Something carries through the soup. Nobody fully understands how. The mechanism remains one of biology's open questions. What we do know is this. A butterfly is not a caterpillar that grew wings. It is an entirely new creature, built from the wreckage of the old one, and carrying, against all logic, a few faint traces of a life it no longer has a body for. Here's what most people miss even after they learn that butterflies taste with their feet. Those foot sensors aren't just a little more sensitive than ours. They're roughly 200 times stronger. A butterfly doesn't just detect flavor the way you taste a bite of food. It gets an instant, high-resolution chemical analysis the moment a single foot touches a surface. Think about what that means in practice. A female butterfly lands on a leaf. Before she's even settled, the chemoreceptors in the pads of her feet are already reading the plant's chemical signature. She doesn't sniff it, she doesn't nibble it. She just stands there, and within seconds, she knows whether the plant contains the right compounds for her caterpillars to survive on, or whether it carries toxins that would kill them before they ever hatched. Some species are so particular, they'll only lay eggs on a single type of plant. Get it wrong, and the whole next generation dies. That's not a preference. That's life or death, decided by her feet. But she'll often tap and press her legs repeatedly against the leaf to release more of the plant's juices, giving those receptors even more to work with. It's essentially a full chemical audit conducted before she commits. Now here's where butterflies get even stranger. All that tasting happens before they ever use their actual feeding tool, the proboscis. When you see a butterfly sipping from a flower, that coiled tube unrolling from its face works exactly like a drinking straw. It stays tightly curled when not in use, then extends to reach deep into a bloom. Most people assume butterflies live on nectar alone. They don't. Males, in particular, are drawn to sources of salt and minerals that flowers simply can't provide. Groups of them gather at patches of wet mud to drink from the soil, a behavior researchers call puddling, and the gatherings themselves puddle clubs. The mud delivers salts and minerals that nectar just doesn't offer. Some butterflies have also been observed landing on people on warm days, drawn by the salt and sweat, using those same foot sensors to detect what's on offer before the proboscis even uncoils. And then there are the ones that seek out fermenting fruit, rotting, overripe, fully decomposed. The sugars in decaying fruit are highly concentrated, and butterflies can taste the quality of the fermentation through their feet the moment they land, before committing to a sip. For an insect with no mouth in the traditional sense, the butterfly has built an extraordinarily sophisticated system for knowing exactly what it's eating and what it's about to feed the next generation. What if the butterfly resting on that flower right now is wearing a costume you can't see? Here's the strange truth. The colors you observe on a butterfly's wings may be only half the picture. Hidden beneath the patterns visible to human eyes is an entire second layer of markings, painted in ultraviolet light, a wavelength our eyes simply cannot detect. To us, those markings don't exist. To another butterfly, they could be the most important thing in sight. Butterfly eyes are built differently from ours. Each compound eye contains roughly 6,000 tiny lenses, all angled in slightly different directions, stitched together by the brain into a wide, panoramic view of the world. And built into that visual system is something we lack entirely: the ability to see ultraviolet light. While our vision tops out at violet, butterflies extend beyond that into UV, a spectrum that sits just past what we can reach, utterly dark to human eyes. This matters for two reasons. The first is flowers. Many plants carry UV patterns on their petals that act as guides, steering pollinators toward the nectar at the center. To a human, a plain white flower looks simply white. To a butterfly, it can appear to light up with a contrasting target at its core, the exact spot worth visiting. It is a private language between plant and insect, written in a wavelength we were never invited to read. The second is mates. Many butterfly species carry UV markings on their wings that are completely invisible to us, but carry everything that matters to another butterfly. Butterflies have sharp eyesight only up to about 10 to 12 feet. Beyond that, the world blurs. So these signals work at close range, traded between two insects hovering just inches apart, through a visual channel that is entirely closed to any human bystander. Two butterflies that look nearly identical to our eyes might look dramatically different to each other. Those UV patterns acting as identity signals, a private code that guides which individuals pair off. Think about what that means. You could be standing in a garden, watching what looks like a quiet, unremarkable moment between two plain-colored butterflies, and be completely blind to the vivid exchange happening right in front of you. Signals shaped over countless generations, aimed at eyes built to receive them, eyes that simply are not yours. The world a butterfly moves through is not the world you see. It is richer, more layered, and more alive with information than our senses can reach. And it has been unfolding around us, just out of range the entire time. A bird snatches an orange butterfly right out of the air. One bite, then something goes wrong. The bird drops it, shakes its head, and starts retching. It doesn't die, but remembers. And from that moment on, anything wearing that same warning pattern gets a free pass. That butterfly was a monarch. And what just happened was the result of a chemical arms race that started long before the butterfly even had wings. Now here's the trick. Milkweed, the plant that monarch caterpillars feed on, is actually trying to kill anything that eats it. It produces chemicals called cardiac glycosides, a type of heart poison that affects vertebrates. For most insects, that's a death sentence. But monarchs evolved alongside the plant and developed resistance. Then they went further. They turned the plant's own weapon into their personal armor. When a monarch caterpillar feeds on milkweed, it doesn't just digest those cardiac glycosides. It holds onto them, sequesters them. The toxins ride through the transformation inside the chrysalis. And when the adult butterfly emerges, those poisons are still there, packed most densely into the wings themselves. The wings. The very first thing a predator grabs, a bird that bites into a monarch wing gets a direct dose of heart poison, enough to cause sickness and vomiting. Not lethal, but deeply memorable. And predators learn. They begin to recognize the monarch's distinctive warning colors as a signal to stay away, and they start avoiding anything that looks the same. But not all monarchs carry the same punch. The concentration of cardiac glycosides actually decreases as individual butterflies age, and female monarchs carry higher concentrations than males. The same wing pattern can hide a very different chemical threat. The predator never knows which it's getting. Now here's where it gets cunning. Some butterflies have evolved to look almost identical to the monarch, without doing any of the dietary work. No milkweed, no heart poisons, just the costume. They wear a reputation they did nothing to earn, and predators that learn to avoid the real toxic species automatically avoid them too. Even though they're perfectly edible, that's a form of biological freeloading that only works because the monarchs put in the actual chemical labor. The mimics ride entirely on borrowed credibility. If the toxic original vanished from the population, the disguise would stop working. Predators would learn, fast, that the costume no longer comes with consequences. One species turned a plant's poison into a shield. Another species just copied the paint job, and both of them get to fly another day. 3,000 miles. That is the distance some monarch butterflies travel each autumn, farther than crossing the entire continental United States from one coast to the other. And they accomplish it on wings spanning less than 4 inches, carrying a body that weighs less than a gram, about as much as a single paper clip. But here's where the story gets genuinely astonishing. Not one of those butterflies will ever complete the return journey. Every fall, monarchs from the northeastern United States and Canada pour south in massive waves, tens of millions strong, heading toward a specific cluster of forests in the mountains of central Mexico. They navigate using the sun. Their eyes track its position on the horizon, and their antennae carry a kind of internal clock that tells them when to move and which direction to go. Tag monarchs have been recorded covering more than 250 miles in a single day, riding thermals and air currents so efficiently that a glider pilot once spotted one at 11,000 feet, higher than most birds ever fly, higher even than most songbird migrations reach. When they finally arrive in Mexico, they pack in Oyamel fir trees so densely that millions share a single acre of forest. Some estimates put the total arriving in those mountains at close to 1 billion individuals. They hang nearly motionless through the winter, surviving on the fat reserves built up during their long journey south. Then spring arrives. The males die. The females begin flying north, laying eggs on milkweed plants along the way, and then they die too. The eggs hatch into a new generation, caterpillars that feed, transform, and emerge as butterflies. This generation continues north, then another generation, then another. By the time monarchs reach the northern breeding grounds in Canada, is their great-grandchildren, sometimes even their great-great-grandchildren, making the final push, and then, in late summer, a final generation emerges from the chrysalis unlike any that came before it. This so-called supergeneration lives not the typical 2 to 6 weeks of an ordinary monarch's life, but up to 9 months. It is larger, it is built for distance, and somehow, without ever having made the journey, without a single elder to follow, it navigates back to the same forests in Mexico. Some individuals find the very same trees their ancestors clung to the winter before. Scientists believe the direction finding is written into their genes, a kind of inherited map encoded in their biology. The sun compass, the internal clock, the pull toward a specific mountain range in a country they have never seen, all of arrives preloaded when they crawl out of the chrysalis at a creature that weighs less than a paperclip, born already knowing the way home to a place it has never been. Picture this. You're holding a blue morpho butterfly, one of the most recognizable insects on Earth. Its wings burn with an almost impossible electric blue, vivid, almost metallic, the kind of color that looks like it's glowing from the inside. Then you tilt it just slightly, and the blue vanishes. The same wing has gone dull gray. Tilt it back. Blue again. No trick of the light, or rather, it's entirely a trick of the light. And understanding why changes everything you thought you knew about color to here's the fact that stops most people cold. Those wings are actually transparent. Not colorful. Transparent. Strip away the surface, and you'd be looking through layers of chitin. The same protein that makes up an insect's hard exoskeleton, stretched so thin that light passes straight through, like glass. The color you see isn't in the wing itself. It never was. What creates those colors is something closer to a physical machine than a paintbrush. Every butterfly wing is covered in thousands of microscopic scales, stacked in overlapping rows like the tiles on a roof. Each one is tiny enough to fall off your fingertip without you noticing. Some of those scales carry pigments. Melanin, for example, the same substance in human skin, which gives many species their browns and blacks by absorbing some wavelengths of light and bouncing others back. That's ordinary color, the kind you'd find in any painted wall. But the most dazzling butterflies operate on a completely different principle. Their scales are built with intricate internal structures, ridges, layers, and air gaps arranged at a scale far too small for the naked eye to see. When light strikes those structures, it doesn't simply reflect. It interferes with itself. Waves of light hit different surfaces at slightly different moments, and certain wavelengths amplify while others cancel out completely. The result is pure color conjured entirely from geometry. No pigment, no dye, just the physics of light working against itself. The blue morpho is the most famous example. That electric blue is not a chemical property of its scales at all. It's an optical event. The moment you change your angle, the interference pattern shifts, and the blue simply isn't there anymore. It is in every meaningful sense a living illusion, a masterwork of natural engineering. On the opposite end of the spectrum, glasswing butterflies have evolved scales so irregularly arranged, with nanostructured pillars of random heights, that they barely reflect any light at all, leaving their wings nearly see-through, like a piece of living glass. Scientists studying this phenomenon are already putting it to practical use. Researchers have drawn on the microscopic architecture of butterfly wings to help develop new kinds of smartphone screens. And as a butterfly ages, its tiny scales gradually fall away, slowly revealing the transparent wing beneath. A quiet reminder that the most spectacular color on Earth has no color in it all. Picture two butterflies landing side by side. One perches on a single fingertip, its wings spread barely 3/4 of an inch from tip to tip, smaller than your thumbnail. The other dwarfs your entire hand, its wings stretching nearly 11 inches across, wider than many small birds in flight. Both are butterflies, same family, same body plan, completely different planets. That's the western pygmy blue on one end, and the Queen Alexandra's birdwing of Papua New Guinea's rainforests on the other, a wingspan that reaches up to 10 3/4 inches. If you saw it coming toward you in the jungle, you'd be forgiven for ducking. The distance between those two creatures isn't a gap, it's a chasm. And yet we call them both by the same word. The size extremes are just the beginning. Consider lifespan. Some butterflies live only a matter of days as adults, just long enough to find a mate, lay their eggs, and disappear. But the morning cloak pulls off something almost miraculous. It can live up to 10 months, surviving winter by going dormant and waiting for spring. 10 months. That's not a butterfly's lifespan. That's a small mammal's lifespan. The same creature that sometimes measures its life in days can, in a different species, measure it in seasons. Then there's speed. Watch a butterfly drifting through a summer garden and it looks almost lazy. And for most species, that impression isn't wrong. The average butterfly cruises somewhere between 5 and 12 miles per hour, which feels gentle and unhurried. But the skipper butterfly apparently skipped that briefing. Skippers can hit 37 miles per hour, fast enough to outpace a galloping horse. That's the same delicate, wing-fluttering creature you'd see hovering over a flower bed in the afternoon, somehow clocking faster than a horse at full sprint. What all of this tells us is that the word butterfly is almost too small for what it actually covers. We use it like it names a single animal, the way we might say dog, and picture something that runs and barks. But the butterfly family spans a size range bigger than the gap between a sparrow and an eagle. It spans lifespans from a long weekend to nearly a full year. It spans speeds from an afternoon stroll to a flat-out sprint. It is, in every measurable way, not one creature but an entire universe of wildly different solutions packed into the same elegant design. Wings, antennae, and that seemingly impossible knack for turning something plain into something unforgettable. If that changed how you see these insects, hit subscribe. There's a lot more to discover.